About 8 years ago, I met a woman named Bana Qashu through the channel, through work, through where I make my living these days. And she worked at a company called Avant, and she just seemed like it was bizarre. She seemed like she ran everything. She had so much knowledge and so much depth in what went on in the channel and how trusted advisor ecosystems work and things. And I was always impressed by her demeanor, her engagement. Just, turns out she's just a genuinely nice person. And she has gone from the TSD side of the house to the agent side of the house, and now back as an independent on her own doing consulting. She started a company called Bana Tech. So she's got a real 360-degree view, because what you're going to hear here is early on, she started in direct sales. So she's been around the block and has a 360-degree view about selling, business, building companies, market valuation, et cetera. What I really loved about the episode, and I hope you're going to pick up on here, is Banna's super easy to talk to. She's got a big smile. She's really nice. She's just such a nice, genuine person. And this episode really felt like I wasn't doing a podcast. It felt like a nice conversation about so many different topics amongst some old friends. And for me, when I can capture that, that's a winning episode. Authenticity, knowledge share, camaraderie. That's the best of the best times for me. So I hope you enjoy the episode. It's Bana Qashu. Let's dive in. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hey, Bana, welcome. Welcome to 10,000 Miles today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Vic.
Well, you don't think so. I've been really wanting to do this for a long time, and I'm going to tell the audience why. All right. Bana and I met, had to be 7 years ago. Easy, right?
Yeah.
When we were just getting introduced to Avant when you were at Avant, right? And
Yeah.
I think the first time I met you was at that dinner in Las Vegas. Well, I met Bana through professional channels. And she worked at one of the very big and still now very big technology solution distributors. It's called Avant. And I kind of saw you at that time as like the get it done, go to everything person. You had a very broad role and you had a great presence. You seemed really in command of the channel and the topic and things like that, and really smart and knew the DNA of the partners or trusted advisors, whatever it's called. But then I found out that you were really like a really nice person and pleasant and into yoga and fitness and like had all these other things. And I'm like, I like this Bana. I like this Bana. And so when I started the podcast, I had this very long list, and I'm going to send you a screenshot. You were on the initial list, a very long list of people. Okay. Who do I know I originally want to get on? Pop. And some people said to me, "Oh, I was at the bottom of the list." I'm like, "It's not alphabetical. I was just riffing one night, sitting in my chair in the family room." But I've been eager to have you on. And when I saw you at the last event, and you said, "Let's do it," and I was like, "Let's do it. This is really great." So thank you for coming on. To a little bit of backstory about how we met and what I think of you.
So much. I mean, that's humbling to know that. I'd love
Well, you
to
deserve it. It's true.
List. We'll see how much you like me. No, I'm just kidding.
Bana, just introduce yourself to the audience in your own words.
Oh, well, so thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. I'm Bana Qashu. I've had quite the journey. It's kind of terrifying to see it go by so fast. I started in nonprofit management, working with education nonprofits for so long that when I entered into technology, I entered as a direct seller, believe it or not. And within
Really?
a year, they're like, "We want to promote you into the channel, and can you build the Mid-Atlantic Northeast area?" And I'm like, "What is a channel?" And here
What
we are.
company was this for?
See Beyond. So for all you See Beyond alumni, you know who you are. Many have become very, very successful, trusted advisors, while others are successful in the channel. And so
Amazing.
here we are, how many years later, and I've done 360-degree view into technology procurement and distribution. So I formed what now I'm very proud of is Bana Tech Consulting, Bana Tech one word, where we are establishing the diamond standard for technology procurement for management and channel strategy as a service. So for those that want to enter into the channel or are in the channel and they just need a refresh, and hopefully an enablement resource for a lot of referral partners out there. And it all stemmed from that trifecta and having that experience where we each have our own opinion of
Yeah,
what each of us does until you actually experience every part
that's exactly right.
of the sale. And so,
Well, that's what makes you unique. You've been a direct seller. Then you, on the channel side, your role is really putting together the ecosystem and supporting sales forces and independents and things of the like. So you got to see what it was like to sell the products and carry the bag and be on the support and distribution side, right? And now you're back on the other side in the consultancy, working, head to head with, advisors, but customers and everybody of the like, and procurement departments rather. So it's an interesting view. Let's go back. Like every time you made a turn to like sort of the new chapter or got to look through a new lens, were you surprised at what it was like for other people? Was it more or less what you expected? Tell me about that transition and journey.
well, it's interesting. And I've given this a lot of thought. So, what's fascinating is what each role taught me because our bias is predicated on what we're trying to sell. And that happens in any industry, right? So I'll give an example. When on the vendor side, I'm focused on revenue, forecast, and funnel, right?
Hmm.
And hopefully my product has the brand recognition and the tools and enablement to help the partners recognize that.
Yep.
What I'm finding is there's a disconnect these days. Some of us have forgotten about sales and it takes so long. And we all know if we're customer facing that time kills deals. So
Yeah.
on the channel, we really need to upskill the sales, the direct sales motions that, when a TA or a partner or an agent, whatever definition you use, is asking for your assistance and you're in the channel, that doesn't mean in 2 days, in 4 days. It means immediately because that
Hmm.
there's a customer, there's an impending event that's
Yeah.
waiting on the other side for a response. And so there goes my bias from when I was on the TA side.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was on the distribution side and working for Avant, it was more of how do I connect all these dots together and provide the greatest value to Vic today,
Sure.
to
Yeah.
help Vic scale and build a business that's sustainable and profitable. And so every system has its own bias, which is all the more reason why part of the conversation should extend well beyond I'm a vendor, here's my product, here's my solution. You want to sell me, I'm the greatest. I'm on the Gartner leaderboard, you know, uh, I don't know. I have the biggest FinServe client base that you'll ever see and needs to be focused more on the business conversation around what do I need? What does Vic
Yeah.
need in
Yeah.
order to be successful? Same on the distribution side. It's like we add value, we add engineers. That's great, but let's remove that bias and see how the triangulation of the sale is going to work. Because what we're very fortunate of is that this channel in the last 10 years has morphed
Yeah.
into we're not afraid to walk into a Fortune 50. Who's
Yeah.
afraid in the channel to like walk into a
No.
Fortune 50 and go against the GSIs that have had those networks and contacts
Yeah.
for years?
Yeah, well, I've beat him a number of times. I'm proud to say. It's an interesting thing, and I'm so glad that this conversation is starting like this because my background. I didn't come from sales. I was a CIO of 5 companies,
Yeah.
and so I sat in the seat where people were selling to me. But Steve Gerhardt, who you know very well, he was my guy.
He's my
Yeah, he was my guy in the channel, and so when I had a if there was something in his suite, and very early on, it was just connectivity, just telco data, et cetera. But if I had a problem there, or I had, expensive networks, or technology was changing, we went from frame relay to MPLS to SD-WAN, all of this other stuff. It's like I was evolving. Like I really got a lot of leverage out of Steve because he went and chased down all the things that would have taken me hours and hours and hours. So getting rates back, getting technologies back, speaking to engineers, doing all of these things. When I came to this side of the desk, Bana, I'm the sales guy. Like I spent an entire career trying to understand what the business was trying to accomplish and then using technology to accomplish those goals. It wasn't about, the new system or this or that. Like, it's like, do we want to drive revenue? Do we want to shrink costs? Do we want to automate? Do we want to optimize? Like whatever we want to do, we want to sort of, shrink the number of systems down and sort of build other features and functions out? So me being on this side of the desk now for 8.5 years, if you could imagine it, my only conversations with people is the reason you want to be with me and not up against another guy is one, I'm going to insulate you from the end of quarter deals, the pressure, the Salesforce automation, all that stuff. Like at D&M, believe it or not, we do not set monthly sales goals where we're flipping the seat cushions for change at the end of the month because we know it's a long game. I had a deal close after 2 years, 2 months
Yeah.
of working, but it's a giant logo that's going to open up things. And it's just, and that's the benefit of being a trusted advisor is that because the second you walk in with one vendor and you say, this is the solution, they're going to go find the other 4 or 5 or 10 of them themselves. You have to come in unbiased.
No, I agree 1,000%. And Steve is a perfect example of what I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
as a customer. He helped me when I first came into the channel to help me understand like what TAs are all about. He's helping
Interesting.
me as I build this business,
Yeah.
It's like you need those mirrors. And so picture how your customers relying on you to be that mirror, to show
Yeah.
that you're not just a thought leader, you're showing them, by the way, AI is going to challenge us to do that.
Yeah.
Like, because it is a efficiency conversation that crosses all aspects of the business over a product conversation where I'm helping you bandage a problem or rip and replace another one.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so it's going to be interesting to see. So one of the things that Steve and I recently talked about, not to bring Steve into this, but he'll love
It's
it,
okay. He'll love it.
um, was that this channel was built on collaboration and not competition.
That's right.
And it was so eye-opening. I stole it and I put it on my website because he's absolutely right. If you look at their peer groups when they first started the channel many moons ago, it was very collaborative. And it's interesting because back then the deals were very transactional. Let's face it,
Totally.
they were selling long distance and N by T1s, like big
Right.
deal. Now we're having conversations around, hybrid cloud and
Yeah. It's sticky too.
marketplace spend.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yep.
so, I think we do need to challenge ourselves as a channel, especially with all the capital market interest, which I also think is positive because it elevates us as a channel, is to find that collaboration again so that we are building together and growing deeper. And maybe that's the yoga in me, but
Absolutely. Hey, you know what I want to do? I want to pull us back a little bit before we go forward.
yeah, of course.
I said some very honest and nice things about you up front, but I want to, if you're open for it, I want to get the audience a little peek into who you are. Like, where'd you grow up? Where were you born?
You really want to go deep, huh?
Yeah, I do.
So I'll give you the Bana story in 2 minutes, but
Okay, good.
be different for a lot of folks. And so I was born on American soil in Saudi Arabia because my dad at the time my dad was a doctor in environmental sciences. And so he was a professor for a long time at University of Arizona, well before my time. And so he had an engagement with the King of Saudi and then after the King of Jordan on underground water resources and how water, he kept saying by 2020, but we've passed 2020, but you do see water deficits across the world.
Okay. Yeah.
But and then I grew up in Jordan until I was 15, at which point I moved to the Washington, D.C. area. And I went to George Mason University. So funny story, Vic.
Okay.
I had a nanny till I was 15.
Till you're 15. That's outstanding.
And it's a different life, right? And so you could say a silver spoon, but let me tell you something. That silver spoon got yanked so fast when my freshman year, I didn't get good grades. And here I am, two type personality parents. My mom owned her own business in Jordan that she sold for a profit.
Okay.
Where she engaged. There were a lot of, we don't have them here, and I can't remember what they're called. A lot of refugee camps. I'm sorry, where she engaged a lot of the refugee camps. No, she did not own a sweatshop. She was a business owner in cross stitch and handiwork, and she'd pay them very well that they're still knocking on her door today. Right.
Wow.
But she worked directly with like the royalty teams in those regions in order to supply some of the products, whether it's the decorative cross stitch stuff or I don't want to the audience, but it's a totally different world. And when we were kids, she would make us, so a lot of folks would open their homes to us. When I say homes, I'm saying a room, literally the size of some people's maybe bathroom, right? Where they would sleep, eat, sit in those refugee camps. And she would make us go, if we were invited to lunch and stuff. I'd say us because I have a brother and a sister. We're like, why are we being tortured? And she's like,
no.
You see how close you can be to nothing.
Yeah.
Happy and gracious these people are to open their doors, their meals, their families, their kids. And so my mom and my dad instilled foundations in us that I don't think, and you see it in like the values. If we were to do a leadership values exercise today, like integrity and family are my top 3. And then my dad was less of a businessman, was more of the ideas smart guy, whereas my mom was the entrepreneur. So I think I was blessed with having both their skill sets. And so I go to college and guess what happens? Party my ass off. And so, excuse my French.
Yeah, it's okay.
But a typical 18-year-old that's finally unleashed into the world. And to me, worse, I went to George Mason University when it wasn't as big as it is today. So guess where we partied? Washington, D.C. And so I got in a lot of trouble and I got really bad grades. And thank God we didn't have cell phones. Like, that is great, great news for the history I had. Well, guess what else happened? I got really bad grades and my dad cut me off.
Okay.
And so he said, no. People can take away everything, your home, your cars, your job, but they can never take away your education. So it's not even an option to flunk out. So he said, you're getting a full-time job and you're taking this seriously and not getting an education.
Turn the screws.
Turn the screws. And at the time, I thought he was a horrible human being. Like, can't believe you're doing this. Da, 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 da.
I wouldn't have pegged that story from you, Bana. You have a lot of skip in your step. You're a hustler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're a hard charger. I'll tell you a funny story. I like what your mom did. I'll tell you a funny story. Once that happened, my kids, Taylor was born in Westfield. We lived in a little apartment She was too young to really remember. By the time the kids were really of age, we had bought our first house. So the kids always grew up in a pretty good home. And as my career took off and I did better, we do what most people do. You expand a little bit, right? And we did that. My kids have had a good life. And I remember one time going back to New Jersey to visit family for the holidays, and we were returning the rental car in Newark. And I was daydreaming something, or I was tired. I forgot what happened. And I missed the turnoff to get to the car place. And so I turn into a neighborhood and I'm driving the rental car and I'm weaving my way around. I got to go around all these one ways and coming down. And I look in the back and I'm telling you, Bana, my kids they're on the floorboards, ducked down. And I go, what are you doing? We're scared. What are you afraid of? This doesn't look right. This doesn't look safe here. And I said, get up in those seats right now. And it was the holiday time, so people had lights out, you know? And I said, this doesn't look like where we live. But in that house with those lights,
Yeah.
those Christmas lights and that tree, there's a family in there.
Yeah.
Maybe they're watching TV right now. Maybe they're all together. I go, this is how people live. This is just different. You know, I said, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I was in a 64 family apartment building. You know, we had a tiny apartment. I don't know if the thing was 800 square feet, 900 square feet. There were 5 of us in there, you know, but it was sobering for me to really realize how important it is to make sure the kids have perspective and appreciation so that they can have the oomph and the build, you know, the desire to go build and do things, but also have the empathy and the care for those so they can develop, you know, help people up, you know, help lift people up. But it was crazy. It was completely crazy. And they remember that time, by the way. They were very little, but they remember.
It's amazing. Like when it impacts you like that at a deeper level, you will remember some of those stories, these experiences, especially. I mean, I commend you we need compassion and empathy. We need it in this
Yeah.
world. We're not going to go in there. That gets way too deep, you know, for this conversation. But empathy and compassion are part of business.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, and part of your personal growth. Without empathy and compassion, like I often say, look around the channel. I mean, we're all aging out. Like, you think I'm going to do this till I'm 70 years old? No. So if you're not pulling someone up behind you,
Totally.
then hang up this podcast right now and go find someone, because there are so many youth that we need to bring into this industry. So little things like that, you know, I went to a conference recently. I'm trying to attend conferences outside of our channel scope.
Okay, cool.
For multiple reasons: thought leadership, wealth and profitability growth. Like, so they fall under different categories. By the way, I haven't paid for a conference in probably over 20 years.
Yeah, it's hitting you hard now.
What
Yeah.
the hell?
Yeah. I'll just warn you, when you try to go to CCW in Vegas in June,
Well, I have
they're
to
very proud of that ticket, by the way, if you're a partner or an advisor. They're very proud of that ticket.
AWS. Like, I'm like, can someone please throw me a bone? They're like, you're paying the whole tab. Not only that, they own the hotels.
Yeah.
But I digress. So I go to this conference on Friday. You would have loved. And it's probably like rah, Jesse Itzler, who's spoken at
Yep.
Defense.
Know who he is. Yep.
Andrew Cordell and Eddie Wilson put this thing together right after COVID, because they're like, people are going to want to get out of their house and hear successful entrepreneurs or industry influencers or those that came over adversity speak. And I signed up and I'm like, can I sit through 12 speakers? I have ADD, like the worst of them, you know? I sat through 12 hours. It was on a Friday, 7:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m. until 7 p.m. when Ed Milot, I cannot pronounce his last name. Milot. spoke, and I'm so glad I stayed. They all at one point went completely broke. They all at one point rebuilt. You have to train for hustle too. Like
Yeah.
some people think you're born into hustle. Maybe, but nobody's stopping you from hustling every day or me,
Yep.
you only stop yourself. But anyway, I enjoyed every speaker. And I tell you this because empathy came up in every single one of the speakers' speaking engagement, like hour.
Yeah. Common
Even
theme.
one of the guys you could tell he's a finance guy. He's not a like get us wound up,
Yeah.
He's into philanthropy, into giving back, into real estate, sold 100 companies. Empathy was still part of his speech. Like until you help others, you really don't feel true, genuine success because you could buy all the Lambos in the world and the islands in the world. But if you
Yeah.
don't have that like fulfillment of that feeling of fulfillment, like I don't know how we got to this topic, but
Oh,
here
it's
we
a good topic. At the end of the day, Ben, if you consider yourself a leader in any way, shape, or form, and you can't put your finger on the pulse or point to or tap on the shoulder a number of people who you've helped develop, then you're not a leader. I don't care
Mm-mm.
what title you've achieved. I don't care what they've given you. I don't care how many millions of dollars you have in the bank. If you're not raising others, you're not a leader. And in life, by the way, like this is why we're here.
Yeah.
We're here to lift others up. I had a guy on the podcast. His name is Rich Keller. Real interesting guy. He's done TEDx stuff and he's, left big corporate and started his own consulting business, big personality, cancer survivor. I mean, just like curveball, hit. He just keeps getting it. He's so upbeat and he's so positive. And we were talking about, he goes, if you're a family person, like you're here just to make sure your kids get elevated. And that doesn't mean stuffing their bank accounts.
No.
That means as human beings that they're elevated to a sort of the next level of person that they can be so that they have a springboard to launch into and they have the courage and the fear and the comfort knowing that they can try and fail.
Yeah.
And I said to him, hey, but don't we all have that responsibility, whether you have kids or not? Like, isn't that what you're supposed to do for the world? And I said, I have a theory, Rich. I said, and it's so easy and so simple, but so hard to really get put into practice. He said, what's that? I said, pick your person, just one, and help that person. Because if everybody did that, if everybody just picked their one person, everybody would be covered. Let's say, Bana, you picked me and I picked Bob and, and Bob picked Mary, like everybody, eventually it doesn't take that. And so
No.
we wait for these big things, build universities, create groups, create communities, because nobody's picking their one person.
Right.
Pick that person. Do that. I don't know. Maybe that'll be my next life. I'll go on the next person
Pick a
campaign.
person. I mean, that's why I believe in internships and interns.
Yeah.
Like, you really think that I want to do that much coaching? It's so much easier to just hire someone with some experience.
Yeah, sure.
Help them grow. But oh my God, I am genuinely proud. I still check on my interns to this day on LinkedIn. And I'm genuinely proud to watch them. It's a glow that no one can take away from you. Like even the naysayers that you face in your lifetime at work in your day to day. Yeah. That's one thing I've noticed since June.
Yeah.
Not sweating the small stuff.
Good for you. That's all right. Let's ricochet back into Banatech. All right. So tell me exactly who your ideal client or clients are.
So it's interesting because what I've done is combined the three-legged stool together into one. One, I am honoring some of the commitments that I've made in the last couple of years. So I am not as aggressively pursuing today. However, I'm building the thought leadership library, if you will, and some of the messaging, and quite frankly, some of my go-to-market strategies to develop it further, which is going through the consumers and being their technology procurement
Hmm.
arm. Organically, I'm getting referral agents that are looking for a boutique experience in procuring their technology stack. And in some cases, I'm actually helping them sell to the client.
Okay.
And so almost like a sell with motion. That is obviously not sustainable. So
Sure.
I'm being very, very purposeful in those relationships and
Yeah.
those partnership establishments. So it's not for everybody. I'm not trying to be another TSD, not at
Sure.
all. And then the final one is working with the vendors because I have a genuine interest. I do think that there are some programs that may want a facelift. That doesn't mean that the VP of channel or the head of channel is not doing their role, or the CRO, et cetera. There are times where you need that outside consultant to look in and just say, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And I'm exploring other channels, Vic, so that I can draw in from this, what success looks like in other channels. For example, there are several SaaS marketplaces, not just the ones that we know within our channel,
Hmm.
that are
Yep.
out there with a whole slew of partners
Yeah.
that say what we say,
Yep.
but they just say them to a different audience, whether it's the CMO or the marketing. And I don't want to give all my Banatech secrets. So I'm
Yeah.
giving
No, I understand.
marketing, but
I want to unpack one of those things, if you don't mind. I want to unpack the channel side. I still think, and what the heck do I know? This is one person's opinion. I still think some of the construct, the way the vendors slash providers set up their ecosystems to support the channel, look good on paper and they're busted. They don't work. So I'm going to leave the names out to protect the innocent here and protect relationships. But let's go down a list of my pet peeves. Okay. And if anybody were to consult with you to say, how can I make this better? Here's a free list from good old Vic. Okay. First and foremost, let's say I'm doing I have a relationship with ABC Co. They're a provider. They provide a technology that my customers, I go and I register a deal. I do that. Let's say the customer is in New York. And then let's say it's a, XYZ size company. It's, let's call it just for the small, medium, large. Let's say it's a medium company. All right. Hey, your AE on this, and this is the person you're going to get. And here's the sales engineer you get. And okay. Next week, I have another deal registration and it's in Arizona and it's a large. And okay, that's a different team. Okay. Now we got it. And sometimes I could be working, Bana, 3 deals, 4 deals at once and dealing with 3 or 4 teams. Now, there are rare occasions where I've been able to influence getting the same team, but that is the rare exception. Do you know how hard it is and how much work it is to break in? And I know this sounds a bit condescending, but to break in a team in the style in which we sell?
1,000%. Yeah.
My God, it is so hard.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is so hard.
Not
But yet,
building a style, a relationship so that
yeah,
you're in front of the customer and you were a customer.
yep,
You have that perspective.
yep.
And so it behooves us to listen, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it's a waste of time because
Yeah.
we normally do we'll do the initial we do a great write up. Hey, here's a brief on the opportunity and the company, pages, company name, size, HQ, people, market, vertical, share if they're public, maybe the last, Q report, and then problem statement, solution outcome, all of the very detailed. Sometimes they don't even read it before they show up to a prep call. I'm like, why did we just spend hours gathering all this information and giving you the recognizance what we have? So that's more common than uncommon. Number 1, or number 2, I should say. Number 3 is I don't always get the A team. My job is to always get the A team when I bring them to my customers because that's my pledge. You're not going to have to deal with the B and the C team. So I'm not going to go to a customer with a B or C team. I got to flush that out. So if I establish a relationship, so that's pet peeve one. We're not going to solve any of these on this podcast, by the way.
No,
Pet
and I'm
peeve,
smiling because
yeah.
you're spot on. I mean,
Pet peeve number 2, spiffs drive the wrong incentive.
oh, I would agree.
I don't mind the spiff if it's if it's a success spiff, right? But the way they're set up, only once in my entire time here did I get a spiff on a renewal. It's because I made a relationship with the chief revenue officer and I said to him, I want to bring you on a journey with me so you could really understand what it takes to get a renewal on a company with 2,000 people using your technology that now has choices 3 years later. And if you can appreciate the amount of effort I have to do to transition to a renewal, you're going to look at spiffs different. You're not going to want to, you might want to acquire new logos, but this renewal is of paramount importance. And he came out and he came out, he sat at the meeting, he saw the value we did, saw how hard we worked, saw all the rounds of renegotiation and add-ons and gives and takes, and he gave us a spiff. And so I'll bust my keister to get a renewal when they're coming at me and saying, hey, I'm in with X technology, but there are 20 new players in the market. Why should we stay here? If they shouldn't, I'd advise them not to, but if they should and have good reason to stay, I would advise them that, but we're working hard for it. And it's a non-thought. I would like them, all these guys that are out there doing 3, 4, 5X of these spiffs. I'd much rather them say 2.5 up front, 2.5 at renewal, right? Do something, figure out how to show appreciation for that work. Because we're not a land and run.
That idea, because
What's that?
For them to minimizes churn. So to me, it might be more profitable to actually, spiffs have their place, right? Like they help the next generation TA that's first coming in. But you can argue that I'm next gen, coming into the place, trying to figure out which leg of the stool is going to be the strongest in a year.
Mm-hmm.
You think I'm just going to sell your product based on spiff? Well, then I lose my integrity as a trusted advisor. No chance, no how. I'll borrow my mortgage payment before I have to do that.
Totally.
And so I think
we often write it back into the deal to get them a better rate.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do something. Like, it's just like, that is not by the way, it does not add to your profitability as a business when you're trying to build a profitable, scalable, sustainable business. And I just completed, you're going to call me crazy, but I've completed a certificate at Harvard in financial analysis.
Not crazy. Good for you. It's great.
It only took since January and I am exhausted. Like with financial accounting and launching a business and financial analysis, I thought I was going to lose it, but we're
slacker.
Yeah. You're achiever. But, I wanted to make sure I established a good financial baseline in the setup of Bana Consulting, the way that financial markets look at it, and just so that smart. I, leave a legacy. But
very smart.
I will tell you, from your 2 pains, there's more.
Yeah.
And the best programs today are built around enablement and alignment and empowering the trusted advisor. Mm-hmm. Those vendors, there's so much complexity in what we're doing and what we're selling. No longer are you just with the customer once, twice, 3 times. I've got demos tomorrow. I've got fingers and toes crossed.
Yeah, of course.
Because not only did I send an email to the vendors going, here are the specs again. Please don't repeat these questions. Like, elaborate, add more. We only have half an hour. And to your point earlier, how many do you think I expect? One of them, I had to engage the CEO, which I'm sure didn't make me friends with the channel team.
Yeah.
But I'm like, sorry, Charlie, you don't respond. I have an impending event, I'm going to move forward. So know that you lose. We have options now. The channel 10, 15 years ago, the TSDs had 150 providers across the portfolio. Now I have 700. And
Crazy.
So you can respond or not respond, but I'm going to replace you really fast because what I need is the right solution for my customer.
We just laughed with a data center company because one of our clients needed some white space. And Mark, who works for us, went out and got all the bids and did this stuff. And one of the companies was slow to respond. And Mark finally said, I told you deadline was Monday. And in 2 hours, you're out. They responded. They actually won the deal. And so we joked yesterday because they brought some senior folks in. It was a nice size opportunity. They called to say thank you. They're going to give white glove service to the client. And they said, we heard we were almost kicked out. And Mark goes, you were about 20 minutes away from toast. He goes, man, I'm so glad this worked out. Yeah, it's just about being responsive because we don't have unrealistic expectations. Hey, you tell us you can have this by Monday at 10 o'clock and it's 2 o'clock and I don't have it. I already told the customer they're going to get it by 3. Right? I already gave a little hedge. You're out in 20 minutes.
Right.
We're moving on. And because our job is to be reliable and be responsible, but be informed. Yeah, the list of long little things that should I ever, and I won't ever, but if I were ever on the inside of one of these companies that ran a channel program, I would have a far different perspective, having been on this side for 8.5 years, I think could really help enable and drive sales.
Yeah.
I think it really could.
I do too. And over engineering the programs, why? You
Yeah.
know, like partner portals, that shocked me. This is not a knock on anybody's portal. It is
Yeah.
appreciated. There are times, but my God, is AI going to change the world? Like I
Yeah.
keep saying that, but it is. It's getting smarter by the day. And so by the minute. And so those LLMs are going to challenge some of those portals because guess what? I'm just going to go to I have 13 different AI subscriptions.
Yeah. I hear you.
One of those, because one of them ought to give me an answer and just ask my question really fast. And then you have our TSD portals. And so like, why are we over engineering? We're really simple people looking for simple things, which is just provide me with follow up and follow through.
Yeah. But the two basic fundamental things, responsiveness. AI certainly has changed it.
Third one where I'm like, I'm effing out of here.
I hear you. In the 8.5 years I've been in the channel, we've never used the partner portal. Like if I've ever gone to a partner portal for anything, I need a link to the asset, meaning make sure your decks are up to date. If you've got any videos, make sure they're up to date. If you've got any recorded demos that are hot and new of the latest features, make sure they're up to date. And a lot of the AI companies, and I'll give a good shout out to Crisp. If you don't know about Crisp, Bana, you should. Incredible technology. They do they're focused on contact centers, noise cancellation, accent neutralization. So if you've got a very heavy accent from multiple languages, whether you're from India or Manila, wherever, and you click that button on, boy, it sounds mainstream English. It's pretty amazing. And then live interpreter. Their demos are a 10 out of 10. And they are always refreshed and always at a place where if I want to say to somebody, hey, you got to check this out, I send them the link and they get the latest and greatest all the time. That's a valuable tool. And I've got it I can text it to somebody, hey, check it out. It loads and was great on the phone. And so quick. That's, I've never used them. And you're right. With AI, I've got as many subscriptions as I know what to do with. And my wife's like, well, why do we spend all this money on AI? And I'm like, it's like I need tools for the job. This is just what we do. Oh, okay. Use all of them. I said, I have to.
Yeah.
I got to see what the models are doing. Got to do it.
Working this weekend on, so I went to a global AI conference, another one that I had to pay for, but it was so worth it.
Tell me about that one. Was it good?
It was excellent. So it was put on by the Global AI Insights Group. And so they're tied to MIT labs and Harvard labs. And so that's all being generated in those labs. And there was a large number of enterprise attendees. There was a large number of VC and private equity because I think capital markets are trying to figure out what to make of this AI space in terms of valuations. There's no history. There's no, you know what I mean? So it was the workshops were fascinating because it was the customers, it wasn't vendors that were talking through their solutions, although there were some of those sessions, obviously. And of course, every time a vendor talked, I had a new subscription.
I hear you, sister. I'm the same way.
This one, this one's so good. And so
Great. I'm going to pull up something I want to play you. Hold on.
I could do
You're
a
gonna
video
freaking
in
love it.
30 seconds.
What's
That's
that?
amazing. I could do a video in 30 seconds. You should see
I know.
my.
What platform are you using for that?
Hey, Jen, ironically,
Cool.
a month ago, I hated them and I canceled my subscription.
Really?
Guess what? Within the month, it's gotten 10 times smarter, 10 times better. The options
That's
are
exactly right.
The video is my voice.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
No.
Well, I'm going to play something. All right. So this is how freaking lame I am. Okay. Let me share this real quick. I'm going to play for like through the first chorus. It's pretty crazy. So I subscribe to Suno. Are you familiar with Suno?
No. Here's another one.
Suno makes songs. Okay. This is not Suno. This is just iTunes. And you can create lyrics, you can write lyrics, you can chat GPT or Claude a full set of lyrics and give it a song structure. And then you go to Suno and you pop those lyrics in and then you got 200 characters or less. Say, give me a contemporary country song with the following lyrics, and I want it to sound like XYZ. You can't mention artists. It won't do that. So you can't say it, make it sound like Jason Aldean. That sounds like a top 10 hit and it's got pedal steel guitar and blah, blah, blah. And you go, right? And these songs come out and they're incredible. And I'm going to send you a couple after this. But my wife's uncle is Uncle Frankie. And Uncle Frankie, his nickname is Chicky because when the kids were young, they couldn't say Frankie. So they called him Chicky and it stuck. And so it's his birthday coming up. Dude's like 80 something years old. He's a freaking legend, man. The guy he's a 10 out of 10, right? He's Italian guy from Jersey, salt of the earth, likes his cars, good family guy, always smiling, just a great guy, Italian guy. So I go, I got to create a song for Uncle Chicky. So this is Uncle Chicky's birthday song. Can you hear it?
Yeah. My God, that's hysterical. Always so quick. We all raise a toast to our Uncle Chick.
All right, so I mean, it's a corny little song, right? But it was hilarious, and it's hilarious. And you could imagine, like, he thought I wrote it and recorded it, and I was singing it, which is even more priceless.
Well,
I'm like Uncle Chick. That wasn't me.
All Uncle Chick. Guitars that are behind you. Those are all.
I could have done it. It would have taken me an entire day. That took me like 2 minutes.
Well, that's what it is. It's a time multiplier.
Totally.
And so our social responsibility is to ensure that it doesn't go completely evil berserk. But you can't stop evil people. You have it in every, the question of ethics came up. It's not.
I think AI is going to police AI. You know what I mean?
It's going to have to in some
AI is going to police AI. Like, as much as the people, and I was talking to some friends about it and they said, the world's going to end. Bots are going to take over. Like I was with friends. This was the view of their parents, and I was with their parents. And I said, hey, let me give you an example. I said, how did you when you grew up, how did you go to the bank? Went to the bank.
Yep.
Deposit my check, got cash, did whatever, got my book stamped. Yeah. I said, oh, well, then all of a sudden, what was the first big thing that came out that changed banking? Okay. You used to walk up. Now you could put your card in. You could do a transaction. I could make a deposit. I didn't have to go in the bank and I can get cash back and that went to my account. Great. I could also then use that card like a Visa card. So now I didn't need my checks anymore. Right. And then I made electronic payments and then portals came out. I was able to bank online and then there's Venmo and Zelle and like all of these things have happened. And with everything that's been released, there's been a bad guy in some corner somewhere trying to figure out how to exploit it.
It's been happening since the dawn of time.
Since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
And so I said, as much as people are going to use AI to try and thwart systems and processes and security, we're going to use that same AI to detect those things, right? And recognize patterns. And I said, and it's going to become, it's a product now, AI, just like cybersecurity is its own thing now.
Yeah,
It's only because everything's online. There was no cybersecurity when everything wasn't online for the consumer anyway.
sure.
And so it'll take care of itself for sure.
It will. It will. I mean, listen, when I went to college, I went for communications
Okay.
and gaming was big. It wasn't
Yeah.
even real gaming. Like it was the start of a Nintendo. And they're like, it's going to change our culture. It's terrible for our youth.
Yeah.
Oh, don't let them, sit in front of, but there's still personal accountability. Like control yourself. You know what I mean? And so same with social media. Did it impact? Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
anybody that watches The Social Experiment, and we're still human. We're not animals. We still
Yeah.
have a choice. You know, people are like, oh, well, you're on social all the time. Well, I dump and I get off.
Yeah. As you'll find out, Benny, you can't post and ghost, as they say.
That's what I
Engagement is like, I've
know.
actually,
I learned that.
I have a consultant I'm working with now who's a former LinkedIn employee.
No way.
Yeah, who's giving me some secret sauce. She's fantastic. I actually did a podcast with her and it's coming out in 2 weeks or so. And she gave away a lot of the tips and tricks. And so the things that the algorithm is looking for is it wants to know how you engage with people. If you're a premium guy or gal, are you reaching out to 20 people a day? And when you're reaching out to 20 new connections, are you also sending them a note? Are you responding to notes you're receiving? Are you
Oh,
commenting on other people's posts and threads? It's important for you to even post on people who have big visibility and be in the top 20, 50 posts because as they get comments, because as they get thousands of comments, people are scrolling and seeing it. You're getting impressions and all of those be seen, be heard things feed into the algorithm. I had my first post the other day come close to 100,000 impressions.
wow.
98,000 and change impressions. And for me, with 14, 15,000 followers, for me, that's viral. Like
Yeah.
for my world, for my community, I'm not somebody with 1 million followers who expects, 1 to 2 million views on this stuff. But I put this post out there and I wake up the next day and it's at 26,000 by the morning. And I'm like,
What
what
was
is
the
going on?
topic? Just out of
And
curiosity.
oddly enough, it was the announcement of a podcast with a guitar player who from Greece. His name is Gus G, and he played with Ozzy Osbourne for about 8 years. Cool dude, great guy, gem of a guy, nicest guy on the planet. And it caught. And prior to that, my biggest impressions was 10 or 12,000. I wrote this nice post about change, like really being built and adapting to change and recognizing those butterflies in your stomach as that's when I'm growing. That's not fear. That's okay. And that was, I don't know, 10 or 12,000. And I thought that was pretty spectacular. But, yeah, she's just opening my eyes to like, if you really want to, there are very specific top of funnel techniques that are working that people are putting in and, having a voice and being out there and being seen and being engaged and, and you got to get past, she said this the best. She said, you're going to have to work through the cringe
Yeah.
because
So I won't do videos because I
yeah,
cringe every time I watch them.
you got to work through the cringe because no matter, even if it's posting, like when I first started posting a lot on LinkedIn, I had friends and colleagues joking with me, well, if you want to know about it, just go check LinkedIn. Vic will tell you all about it. And I said to them, laugh now, young stud. You're
Right.
43. I said, I'm a lot older than that. Let's just leave it there. I said, and if you want to maintain relevance and a voice and let the world know that you're still active, engaged, and valuable, you got to do different things where I'm sitting than you do at 42 years old.
But yeah,
Right?
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. Hey, before we got on, you said I wasn't prepared for the stress.
Oh yeah, of starting a business.
Tell me all
So
about it.
I've never had children, as you could tell, between classes and climbing the ladder. Because what I didn't tell you is by age 22, I had a team of 5 people. And so what my dad did was actually brilliant, which is he refocused my hustle instead of partying in DC to
Yeah.
building a career, because I was a director of communications and marketing, managing a $5 million budget and 7 people by age
Nice.
22. And so then I got my master's degree, and then I proceeded to get other certifications, including yoga certificate and executive presence, like
Mhm.
keeps and. So I never had kids. So I don't know the stress of waking up at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. I haven't changed a diaper in 46 years, and I'm proud. And so I have not slept since August. I think I've gotten, an average of 10 to, I've quit drinking. I'm doing sober October because I'm like, I've got to keep my focus. I mean, I was
Good for
editing
you.
a video at 2 a.m. last night because I couldn't sleep. I'm like, I might as well try Hey Jen again. So you could call it crazy, but it's like the craziest stress. I mean, my yoga practice has never been better. I've lost
Really? That's
count.
great.
I thought you lost weight when you got divorced. No, start a business, lose it faster. And so,
Amazing.
but it's all good stress. I mean, we'll see in November when, the 2 mortgage payments are due. But
Yeah.
for the most part, there has not been able to shut off naysayers, and some unintentionally were naysaying. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It comes out of fear and love, I would like to think. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Some have asked me, is this a means to an end? Is it because the job market's not great for VPs? I'm like, no. I'm
No
like
way.
old to like inauthentically,
Yeah.
like to where I have to fake it to make it. No, thanks. And so, but that's okay. Like, you meet people where they are. And the one thing I'm telling you, I've noticed since June is, and I'm going to go into the sex thing, women and men, because there is a difference. Like, we're emotional beings, folks. Like,
Mm-hmm.
biologically, we're emotional. So,
Gonna get yourself in trouble, Bana. But I'm glad you said it, not me.
no, we are, though. I'm
I
sorry.
get it. I'm with you.
I will argue that because I took a class for my master's degree on the difference between male female communications. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's important for me as a business owner now to find other outlets for that emotion. Meaning, doesn't mean I'm unemotional. It just means I have to, like, if I get pissed, like, I have to find an extra hot yoga class
Yeah,
or go
totally.
lift weights to kind of take it back, because I cannot transfer that into my business. It's
No,
bad juju that's unnecessary. That's not to say men don't get pissed. That's not what I'm saying.
I
But it's
understand.
just a different, you know, nurturing process of the business and the people that have been incredibly helpful. I didn't launch this thing by myself. I've been very privileged to have great mentors and
Awesome.
great people, great cheerleaders. You're a great cheerleader, Vic. You don't realize it. You don't even realize how many people you impact in your podcast or just conversations, you know? And to like thank every single person. Do you know that one of my former IT colleagues
Mm-hmm.
called me and is like, I can help you with your security on your website. I'm like, what are you talking about? I like paid extra for this, that. Oh no, you're being blocked. And he took the time with 98 different phishing companies and took care of each and every one of them,
Wow.
successful with free. Like, what do I give a guy like that? Like, I have no idea, you know? And
So nice.
besides the thank you and stuff, I'm like, listen, I'm broke right now, but I promise you, I'll get you some kind of swag when it's all payday, but they don't care about the swag. It's just
Well, he
now.
was reaching out to you to give back, was what you really didn't know. Because I don't know who that person was, but I'm going to make a bet here that he wasn't calling you to give, to wait for something, that you've already given him something that he felt inclined to give back, whether it be a kind word, support in the past, something along the way in your path. So, don't think that you owe him anything. I know it's in your heart to be a giver,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you, I guarantee you, if somebody asked him and whispered back to you, you're going to find out he did it because he felt like he already got something from it. He wanted to return it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, it's the power of giving back and attracting what you want really does work. And so not sweating the small stuff. I mean, the other thing that can really get me in trouble is if I told some of the ladies to be nice to each other.
Are they not? Are the ladies not nice to each other? Is there like
No,
catfighting going on in the channel?
we're going to have to do like a martinis podcast.
I'm going to bring 4 you ladies on and get you all sauced up, and you're going to spill the tea on the podcast because I'm not aware of the infighting and the catfighting.
No, there is no infighting. It's more as we continue to climb the ladder, like make sure you're paying it forward too, as opposed to,
Oh, yeah.
yes, climbing is great. It gives you a platform. But right now, Vic, just because CEO, managing partner, whatever title I gave myself, I'm also the janitor, the marketing person. Like, you see different titles thrown around in the channel, and I'm just like, what are you bringing to the table? Like, what
Yeah.
value are you adding? And that's
We all know
ultimate.
you're washing the windows at 4 p.m. before everybody goes home. No, I get it. Hey, what advice would you have for channel leaders on the vendor side and on the advisor side? Let's start with the vendor side.
So the vendor side, we know that the traditional, that the trusted advisor is going to outpace the traditional RFP model. We see it. This is why capital markets are very much interested in us, because we're at the table, folks. This is an awesome time to be in the channel, better than ever. We have the credibility, we have the skill set, we have the tools and the resources. So my advice for vendors is take a look at your programs. Do they match that pace? Because if they're not matching that pace and you don't have the right people on the bus, and not to like quote Jim Collins, but the cliche works every time, then it's time to bring out Dave and Dave from Office Space and do those interviews and see if you have the right team on the bus or you have the right program and direction of the program. Many vendors talk about, well, we want to be 80% or 90% channel by 2026. Love that. But what does that mean? Like, what are your enablement tools? How are you going to help Vic and I not feel that pain of poor salesmanship? Because we're in the channel, we're not really salespeople. Well, we are salespeople. We're all selling at this time.
Of course.
And, the future belongs to those that are going to blend in some sort of AI into their practice. It doesn't have to be into your product, but it's anything that will help increase efficacy of positioning your product and your solution in front of that customer faster and generate greater revenues, right? That may not mean spiff or the tiered programs that we've seen in the past. The challenge is going to be in this change and changing mind shift.
We're in just a spectacular time in the channel, and all these new companies coming in and companies that are evolving. I was on a call with a very, very prominent label today, Logo. And the guy that was on the call has a pretty good job there where he talks to the product manager at IBM Watson.
Wow.
And I said, man, those guys have been in a long time. He goes, yeah. He goes, and they got this advisory group and I've been on it for quite some time. He goes, they were the darling, the belle of the ball, right? They were effectively the first really commercially available thing that everybody knew about. And they got big and then they fell way behind. And, they started having to sort of open source a bunch of things they were doing. And they had to really sort of fit into modern frameworks and all that. And he said to me, he goes, they're back. They're back. It's a big deal. He goes, they're back. It's a very big deal what they're doing, how they're doing it, what's available. And I said, yeah. I said, I've obviously been following it since it's been on 60 Minutes, which was, 10 years ago, if
Well,
maybe more.
that's crazy. AI's been
Yeah,
around, folks. Who do you think
totally.
Alexa is? Or Siri on your phone. I mean, Alexa's almost 10 years old,
That's crazy.
right?
That's how I change my images on my monitor behind me. So on a work call, I make it say D&M, and I have the Fire Stick plugged in, and I hit Alexa. Alexa, change screensaver, and so we're all using little tits and tats of that. It's good. And how about on the partner side? What's a piece of advice you might give somebody on the partner side?
We have one of the greatest opportunities in history to take over the technology procurement for customers and remove that pain and fatigue from having to go out and source their own solutions.
Yeah,
But I urge you to look beyond just what you've been selling over the years,
big
to take
time.
a look at the overall business conversation, because we now as a channel have also access to marketplaces. We have access to equipment, love it or hate it. It's still
Yeah,
a need. It still runs all these
still
machines.
runs all the stuff.
Yeah. And so expanding your business, don't be afraid to do it. It's such an exciting time and you see it all around. So take that energy and become that next generation trusted advisor. And don't be afraid to talk about the channel. That doesn't mean you're bringing another competitor into your region, right? Like you're still you. You still have to
That's
sell you
exactly
no
right.
matter how many AI subscriptions Vic and I sell you today.
Well, as a wise man once said, Bana, the RFP is dead. All right.
Right.
You remember that? And
I
so
know.
this came out at the top of the year,
And
and it's a little bit of a calling card. It was a lot of fun to write. I'm working on another book right now, and it's titled Change.
I like that.
Right. I'm working on subtitles, and I realized that people are so nervous when it comes to change. And I was sitting back thinking about my life, and I was thinking about growing up in Brooklyn, moving to New Jersey, being in the music business, dropping out of college, working with Alice Cooper, like doing all these things, then sort of that musical career crumbling, and then getting my feet wet into technology and heads down till 4 in the morning every day. Wasn't going to be the dumbest guy in the room, needed to at least be on par. Leadership roles came about, great career, Channel 8.5 years ago. I'm like, wow, man, if there's anything I've done is like I've barreled through change. And the best advice I gave my son was something I had learned years ago about myself, which was that, and I hear it all the time, like even big speakers, when they get ready to go on a big stage, do something, they still get the butterflies, and it's like weird. They just can't make it go. And it's what you do with those butterflies and that feeling you get in your gut that drives the outcome. And so my son launched his own business, met him. He's doing this stuff. He's doing really great, by the way. And he was a little nervous about things. And I said, hey, embrace that feeling, rename it, give it a new name. I said, that's called growth, right? That feeling you get with those little tingles where you may think you're not really sure, you haven't done it before, maybe you're talking about a new product or you're doing something else. That is fuel for the engine, that feeling. Harness it.
it
And
does.
then you go, it's growth. Okay, here we go.
It's so exciting. And I love that you called it growth. Many are now saying it's anxiety. If I hear that word one more time, I don't know how I can stop myself, because if you train your kids or even your employees to use the word anxiety freely, that's what it
Yeah,
is. The butterflies. You know what it is? It stems from, I do believe that people are afraid to fail or say they made a mistake. Well, guess
yeah.
what, folks? We don't get better unless we screw up. You know what I mean?
Very tough, though. I will tell you, Ben, very tough in the corporate world. There's no room for failure in the corporate world.
But you fail anyway. Like
You
there are
do.
programs that are failing. Look at AI's emergence into our channel as a perfect
Yeah.
example. I mean, I was taken aback 2 weeks ago when I got 3 text messages from 3 really good friends of mine in the
Okay.
industry, all laid off on a Monday morning because a company didn't realize what it takes to go into it. That's failure.
Yeah.
So like, what have you learned from it? What's going to come of it? And so as individuals, we too fail, you know?
Have you ever seen the Chinese, I'm going to get the pronunciation wrong. It's called Kaizen. You know what that is?
Yes.
Like their process for and I don't have the image handy. If I find it, I'll pop it up in the episode post-production. But they
Okay.
have this wheel of all these steps in the process to success and continuous improvement. There's one section here, and it basically says no punishment for failure. Like it's a principle that's called out because in order to try to succeed, like in science, failure is a part of the process.
It
You
is.
have to fail. In engineering, failure is a part of the process until you get it right.
Yep.
But when you live in the corporate world, and these are the customers that we deal with, so this is my perspective on the advice I would give somebody, is that come back to empathy. It's so funny. You have to understand that if you're dealing with a procurement person or a leader of technology who's responsible for delivery, I know from my own experience, there's very little room for failure. And there's always a punishment. Your bonus gets dinged. You may get fired depending on how big of a failure the project was. And then the finger pointing, how it was the vendor, it was him, it was her, it was this, it was that. It's like, the company, this isn't even for the partners really. It's more for if you're running a company, you've got to experiment. Like you've got to go out there and you have to control that environment. And if you're going to fail fast. So you also fail cheap, but try it, fail fast, fail cheap, and evolve. I saw an interview with Jeff Bezos once, Bana, and somebody said, man, you have the Midas touch. Everything you guys do at Amazon, it's always a big hit. Look at and he goes, what? He's laughing. He goes, we've blown billions of dollars. Billions. We've got so many things that we launched that you've never heard of. He goes, fortunately, things like AWS and Prime Video and then he goes, fortunately, those make up for it. But we have lost billions of dollars on failed attempts.
And guess what? Internally, innovation is a huge part of their culture.
Yes.
And feedback. And so you have to have a strong backbone and believe, and it's data driven. There's methodologies, etc. I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm just saying they've established a program where but don't you see why though people are averse to change is if you're punished for failure, then how are you ever going to innovate? And
it's a toxin.
It is. You cannot innovate under fear.
It's a toxin in most corporate cultures. Now, the interesting thing is the very top of the house will tell you, we innovate, we're this, we're that. And as it goes down the rank and file, when people are fighting for promotion, title, office size, prestige, bonus, the sharp elbows come out. That's just what happens. I witnessed it firsthand for 20 years.
Yeah.
Just the way it worked. Bana, I'm so excited for you in Banatech. I really am. I think you're a natural fit for it, especially with this 360-degree view. This was like the last little quadrant for you to refill. I really enjoyed chatting with you today. And today's goal for me was for this conversation to be less structured and feel like a conversation amongst friends. And thank you for letting that happen because we covered so many cool topics and just had a great, interesting conversation. I can't believe how the time has flown by. I really enjoyed myself today.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for having me. I haven't told my story in a while, so I appreciate that too.
It's a great one. And as you know, if you ever need anything, I'm a phone call away or a text. Just reach out. You've given to me. I'm ready to give back.
I haven't done anything yet. You'll see.
You were a staunch supporter for so long. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So appreciated.
Well, I believe in what you guys are doing. And so the way you treated your clients, I mean, it's a premium way of doing business,
Thank you.
I won't say the diamond standard because that's
all right. That's good. That's yours. All right. Well, have an amazing night. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Vic.
Bye. Please don't forget to like, comment,